by getting there at some point. Come on, YouTube. I believe in you. I believe in your capabilities. Waiting for it. It's taking its time. Come on, YouTube. You can do it. You could do something that is part of your daily construction. Okay. Now I can go send out some links. We can get going. We can talk about all the craziness that has happened within this last week, and we can really get to the normal weekly discussion and how exactly things are going to progress from here on out. I am very curious in the aspects of certain series and their weird decisions to do of like ghost personalities of Irene that now exist again, but depending on how Mishima really does it, I think he knows what he's doing in that. So I think he had this definitely set up and ready, and with all the dragon, all the different kinds of dragon slayers that are present in the series right now, that he did really need to have that whole mother of dragon slayers in there, and it very, very interesting plot twist as well. So, how's everybody going that's here? How are you guys today? How's everybody doing this week? Anyone got anything to really jump up and ask questions like I've said before? Even though I'd say like the most frequent questions that come onto these streams are about the series that I go around and review the most. Any series that either I also watch or read, or something that you'd want to know my opinion of, just go ahead and ask. Yeah, Atlas is doomed, man. It's not looking good for them. I am very much am happy to see it end out on the volume, or Ruby's are volumes officially. That's what they call them. End out on volume 7. That cool. Ironwood was right. Ironwood was right the whole time. So boned everyone. Oh, damn it. I am very curious about where things are going to step forward for there, because there's no way that is done. I mean, everybody else, high possibility. I'm worried about Klaus. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I don't want to go much into the spoilers. I know that a lot of people have read the chapter before the official release. I am one of them. But we're going to wait until tomorrow when the official chapter comes out before we do any reviews or deeper discussions on what's going on in those areas, because that chapter is it's a bit heavy. It's definitely a bit heavy, especially in comparison to how things started out and how things were looking. Though I won't say I wasn't too surprised on the entire outcome of it, but it was something that I think a lot of people were a bit devastated and really just hit right in the nerves about how things were gonna really unfold for the guy. And for me, I saw it coming. I saw everything coming down. Klaus and Latoile. I don't know about Latoile. Well, again, her name's so hard to pronounce. Latoile. I don't know about her. I'm hoping Klaus. Makes it out of this, but it's not looking good in his favor. Let's just kind of go with that. It's not looking the best of probabilities for the dude. But who knows? Who knows in that aspect? I mean, they have utterly decimated some of these expectations going in. And after the end of the last arc, when you got all into it, and then none of the there wasn't any real. It wasn't any real deaths. It was more about the mystery of what happened between the humans and the elves and whatnot, and really how it was going to be revealed and resolved. And then this arc, no, we're about war now, and Tabata took it very serious when it came down to it. Gotta love that, beat down man. I love Black Clover. I was like, well, I don't know how powerful the Dark Disciples are. If they somehow defeat both of them, Xeno is still present. I didn't think for a second that Xeno was going to get pushed or defeated. Xeno's character, especially how high up he was, I didn't really see the possibility of him losing in this whole layout, because he not only is a very powerful character, but he had a very big position to really present himself as one of the Dark Triad and one of the only people moving out in the middle of this arc at the beginning of it all. And he was gonna have to have a big display, because he did poorly. It was gonna really, really de-hype a lot of the the intensity upcoming for the Dark Triad for the Spade War. So I knew that I knew that he was gonna be a big threatening guy very much as soon as things got more serious. What's up, Zach God? How's it going, man? How are you guys? When are you gonna review Record of Ragnarok? I might record a video later today. There's a couple things on my list that I want to get to. I wanted to do some this morning. Well, I did a little bit this morning. I did a little bit yesterday, but I didn't really have as much time as I hoped planning and going into everything yesterday. But I'm probably gonna sometime after this stream do that. I got a Record of Ragnarok one. Probably start setting up for some predictions. Tomorrow is Shonen Jump Day, so we're gonna have a lot of Shonen Jump stuff to get. I did read Mashal. I don't really want to do a review on it because it's a gag series, but I did read it. I did think it was entertaining. I'm gonna check out the next one. I'm wondering if it does end up like successful and doesn't get axed, like what the author's plans are with it. I mean, because like what's funny is like a lot of people are like, oh, it's like Black Clover. I mean, yeah, but it's a gag series. It doesn't really, no one really cares if it's similar. It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to take this series seriously. It's supposed to be silly, but it feels more. I think a lot of people noticed more like One Punch Man, where it's more comedic than anything. What's up, King Sinbad? How's it going? Darkness within darkness awaits you. What is this a reference for? Rwby? I'm trying to think now. First thing I thought of was Kingdom Hearts. I still haven't played Remind, but I was watching some just like the opening credit scenes all like lined up in a row, just getting myself hyped. I wanted to play it, but I had plans this weekend, so I'm pushing it off a little bit longer. But I do need to get to it. I've been doing really well avoiding spoilers. But other than that, how are you guys today? How's everyone doing that's present? Have you guys got any questions? Go throw them down, whether it's stuff with Black Clover or Fairy Tail or Eden Zero or even some of the other series. Like I said, I'm gonna get to Record of Ragnarok review because that one I don't even have to set up a lot of stuff. I made a couple screenshots and I'm just gonna talk about the premise of the series and why I think people should read it. It's more of like what I did with Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm probably just gonna say public service announcement again. I might do that for all of my hey, check this series out kind of ones, other than chapter ones, because chapter ones are a little bit more special, a little bit more of putting things up. Yeah, it's fine. It'll get out. Rwby, this is what happens when you lie to your friends. Just hoping you learn from your mistake. I don't think it's what happens when you lie to your friends. I think it's when you don't understand the large picture of what's going on and the severities of what's approaching. Because the issue wasn't, oh yeah, you lied to Ironwood. The issue is, no, you guys prevented him from getting the relic and the maiden away from Salem. And it was oh, well, at least they didn't get the relic. The relic's safe, well, at least one of them. And oh, here comes a giant legion of Grimm that are just gonna lay waste to Atlas. And it's, well, thanks, Rwby. I'm glad that you guys are leaving after KOing a bunch of their top fighters that hopefully contend against this. It's the Rwby team is they're not a very good cast. I very much noted that the Jean's crew is a much better team. They're better written. Their stories are better executed. They all around are more entertaining to watch as well. I don't know. It just weirds me out. When you think about it, it's they were trying to prevent this ancient artifact from getting in the hands of this psychotic immortal Grim Witch, and they're oh well, no, we're gonna try and stand our ground here against them. And it's no, you should not. You guys don't have a means to fight her. And then it's well, oh, what if she just shows up with a couple other kind of Grim? It didn't take a lot of effort to beat these ones. And then here she comes with some giant fuck all Grim whale that is the size of Atlas in itself. And she's just gonna have it slapped down on him. Absolutely ridiculous. So crazy. Got destroyed. Don't we go dropping too crazy spoilers in there. But yeah, he got viciously torn apart. How do you feel about Zeno having his own demon and using 55%? So one, I'm curious to know then what percentage Asta uses, because we saw 40% was more of just that kind of devil aura, or it's just that black energy coming off them. And when he went to 55%, that's when he developed the horn and a wing. And though he's got the other horn and a wing, because he's got 2 wings, 2 horns. One set is entirely bone. It's not the devil powers. So I'm guessing around 50% is going to be what where Asta's at. And it would make sense because he even says like, well, I guess it wasn't really I guess if they couldn't bring out 50%, it doesn't really matter. So I'm guessing the 50% is where it becomes more of like a form instead of just like an aura from what I can tell. Nothing of the boys crowd. Now man, got like utterly annihilated. It's very unfortunate for him. I mean, he needed like a just a big loss. He needed a big crushing defeat. I told you guys. I told you what was it? I think like a week or so ago, I did a video on it. I was like, he has a big defeat coming. Has some form of utter defeat on the way. I had to go back and look, but it was very serious about it. I know there were some people that were like, oh no, is invincible. It's got the whole super prodigy rival thing, kind of protecting him and keeping him super strong. That was not the case. Like I said, hey, for the Dark Disciples, it's like, yeah, I mean, you can logically say that he can defeat them with some of his like power and his display. And then what happened? What happened as soon as they try and stepped up to Zeno? They got demolished. They got utterly destroyed. It was not even an effort for Zeno. He just plowed through them and left them with nothing really left, and he completely decimated everything about him. Episode 19 of Black Clover was greatness. My favorite part of that is still like how much energy Asta's voice actor put into that yell. Like he was like absolutely just driving the roll down. He was super super energetic about it, and it was a lot of fun to have that blaring out as he delivered the final strike onto the Word Devil. That was my favorite part of that whole episode, and like rewatching it just gets me further hyped because it was such a like aggressive conclusion to it. And within the manga, it was still really cool. Asta brought up his Black Divider, extended it even further than he already had, and brought the slash down, cut him down, and that was a really cool part. But the anime, like the way that they added all that extra vibe to it, and that's personally what I think the animes, like the point of the animes, because you add stuff that otherwise wouldn't be there, like music, like the voice acting and stuff like that. The yelling and how like it can be, maybe characters just yelling, or the shout just to show off the severity, intensity of each of the scenes. And I know that's a easy example, something like Dragon Ball, where they're just shouting all the time, and I'm just like, it kind of underdoes it a little bit, but then you get someone like Broly, and it just adds like an extra bit of fuel to the fire of him. Anime protagonist screams give me life. Definitely depends on the main character, but I would agree with you as well. On top of that, it's not like has not lost before. Mars is going to kill him. Asta not save him. Yeah, but with him, like he was losing, and it wasn't in that full defeat yet. And then he got Bell, and he's able to turn it around. With Zeno, it was like a utter defeat, not only to him but like the entire Golden Dawn, and really to the Clover Kingdom. And then on top of that, just leaving him like skewered there was super vicious. Rex, where do you think the Black Clover anime will end? Do you mean like I don't think it's gonna end until the series is over. I think there might be a break coming soon, just so the people that are on board with it can get some rest time, get prepped up for more, and obviously they need to open up more distance to the manga because the manga right now is what 238. And the anime, like where it left off, was at 211. So they're very close to where the manga's at. They either have to take a break, or they're gonna have to, have an anime filler arc, which I'm all right with either. I mean, anime filler arcs can be good, and one of the things I do like about them, especially for a series like Black Clover that I follow the manga, is at that point, instead of it just being I'm watching a scene that I know of that I either like or I'm interested to see animated. But then it becomes like I don't know what's gonna happen because it's an anime or anime original. Well, we don't really know like how it could turn out. We don't know the plot twists or any of the characters. It's all gonna be pretty fresh and exciting, if so. But I'm all right with them getting a break because the guys in the Black Clover anime team do work really hard, and I think they deserve some form of I think they should get some rest. Oh yeah, see that's what I'm talking about with Bell, but yeah, like defeated and Asta. I mean, yeah, but they got pushed back and they were beaten, but it wasn't. It's not even close to this. They didn't get like this much of an utter like layout. They didn't get completely like washed like this. He didn't only just beat one guy. He beat the entire Golden Dawn like with very very little effort. Who do you think is stronger, Xeno? Do you think Xeno is stronger than Licht? So that's kind of a hard one, just because we know that Licht and Lumiere were not like together. We're not stronger than a devil, but we don't know like where Xeno compares to like a full devil. It wouldn't surprise me if he was stronger than Licht, but I'm not 100% sure. I think one of the things that would really be dangerous for like him as a counter is obviously Licht would have his anti-magic swords. Well, sorry, magic stealing swords, magic affecting swords. They weren't anti-magic when he had them. But, their ability and how much he can use that to kind of still counter to a degree of Xeno's magic. It gets down to like a point of, well, he should be in an area given 80% of a devil to be logically up, potentially. I'm stuttering really bad right now. To be potentially above that of Licht, but it's Licht's sword should still have a counter like state to deal with said character. It wouldn't surprise me though, like I said, if Xeno was stronger than Licht just because of that devil boost that he's got, and up to 80%. Like I really want to see what that full capability is. If this is 55 and a huge gap between 40 and 55, you got horns and a wing, then we're probably going to be really seeing something crazy when it gets to the full 80%, because that's it's still a long chunk away. Probably going to get like big demonic hands and a tail, probably like some big fangs. Maybe even they get kind of like maybe they start to get more towards that. Oh, you have to destroy wherever the core is. I don't have a full physical form anymore. But it'll definitely be a while. Like, as I said, when Xeno showed up, I figured it was going to be more of a display period. It was going to be him just showing what he's capable, showing what one of the Dark Triad are capable of, and giving us a glimpse at what exactly about them is so threatening, what is so powerful. And it wouldn't surprise me if we waited a while, like we didn't see any of the Dark Triad for like a good chunk. And maybe we'll start getting into more Dark Disciples of value, because even though it was a Godaroys and Poil, they weren't very strong. But I'm hoping, like with this whole statement of at least 50%, we'll start to see Dark Disciples beyond 40%. Because with the Dark Disciples, I'm really hoping that they have. I'm really hoping that at least some of them are noteworthy. Like these two, no, not really. They were kind of throwaways. They weren't very important. But as long as we get, a couple that at the end of the Spade War, not only we can, you think back at like the Dark Disciples, you think at specific members of the not only Dark Triad, but specific members of like the Dark Disciples that will be of value. Some younger guys that you can kind of see like maybe as some 1v1s, maybe Asta gets like a rival on the enemy side, some just guy that he's constantly running into. Because it can't just be the Dark Disciples. Or sorry, I keep messing them up. I wish they didn't call them the Dark Disciples. But the Dark Triad, it can't just be them. You're not going to be able to hold like a full story. Like I'm guessing a saga. I'm pretty sure the Spade War is going to go like as long as the Elf Resurrection saga went. And you can't really do that with only 3 characters. I mean, you're going to have a lot more involved. I mean, obviously, like you had the Eye of the Midnight Sun, but they had, besides the third eye, you had Patri, you had Sally, you had Valtros, you had members of, obviously you had Radis, but you also had members of the Diamond Kingdom that were playing parts in that and whatnot. I think you're going to have to definitely throw a couple characters in there for the Spade Kingdom outside the Dark Triad to really hold weight of everything going on right now. We have what if Asta interfered, who had lost way before he got the Wind Spirit. I mean, yeah, but that'd be like, well, Asta didn't win, and you can't count that. It's like, is that a big loss? Because it was a team fight at that point, and if it wasn't for Asta would have died as well. It was a team fight at that point until everybody involved was defeated. Versus like with Xeno, where they all just got utterly demolished. There was no turnaround for them. I think it's probably going to get like 25 episodes of filler for the time skip. I'm all right with that. I'm all right with them, if they go do like a dungeon, You see more of like more just like exploration, hanging out in the Heart Kingdom, maybe meeting some of the spirit guards and or spirit guardians before we get like a full display of them, which is all right with me. It's kind of like in the anime how when Marileona punched Asta when he were at the volcano range. In the manga, she just did like a fire punch. They actually named Calidus Brachium in the anime long before it was actually revealed initially when Marileona went up the fight Raya. So yeah, something like that. You don't have to give like the full extent, but just showing because we know that at least one thing about the Spirit Guardians is they're all going to be themed after the elements. True Magic seems to just be like very high level versions of elements. I'm guessing it's going to be like lightning, nature, fire, water, earth, and whatnot, and wind. Anything along those lines. I don't expect to get in a lot of crazy types. Yeah, definitely will have crippling depression after this. Imagine 100% Asta. That's probably so. 100% Asta is probably going to be when he's got to have like a much deeper connection with the word devil with the anti magic devil at the time. And I'm really 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 hoping that at some point before we get further in the arc, it's revealed that one of the ways that Asta was able to advance his anti magic power so much is he was like had communications with the anti magic devil and just like talked to him more. Maybe just had some conversation. Maybe he knows his name. Maybe he knows at least a little bit about him, and they have some form of they've just had some form of dialogue between them. Penny's best girl, and I understand why she would go with Ruby, knowing that everything has gone to shit, and now that she's a maiden, Atlas is unsafe for her. It's completely baffling to me that they did all this and they're like we're gonna save the city and whatnot, and then they just ditched. It's like, oh cool, all the guys are showing up, all this like big legion of Grimm, and then all right, we're gonna leave. We're gonna head on out. Well, we constantly were talking about how we needed to save all these people and how we couldn't abandon them, but we're gonna abandon them ourselves. And just like, you guys are like some of the worst like main protagonists ever. I really wish like Jean and Co were the main characters. I gotta make a note about that later. It's very ridiculous. The Rwby main cast is super goofy in that aspect. Black Ops is 25% and Advance is 50. No, there was a note between 50% that it was something special. It was something significant because he's like, oh, well, because Zeno said that, oh, if they're not at least 50%, there's no reason to really bring him. And we know 40%, all it really does is it has that, like, black, like, radiating aura come off them. So, Asta's is beyond that, so I'm guessing the black form is at least 50 and somewhere around that. And then, 55% is probably that, like, further form that we saw when he, they went against Licht, and then later against the War Devil, where it just gets, like, slightly more extended. He gets the second horn on top of his head. It starts to like branch out to his cloak. Once we get further, I'm guessing we're gonna start seeing more and more like parts form. I'm guessing that the next thing will be a tail, because one thing that would be really neat is like imagine like Asta triple wielding, and he's got a sword in each hand, and then he's got one like his tail wrapped around, like if we gets that demon tail. And he's able just to fight with all of them. And he's got like a scorpion style, double hand swipes, and then oh, you're not looking where the back is, and then you have like I think the Demon Dweller sword would be the best one for that. Stab it into somebody where it's going to be draining their magic and really just like slowly taking away any of their ability to fight back. My Hero Academia is about to go to war at the endgame. I'm wondering if it's going to be somewhere at the endgame because there's not a lot in My Hero set up to go beyond all of this, because after Tamora, like I don't really know what they could do. There's always this setup where it could always be, it doesn't have to be Deku. It could be somebody else. It could be somebody after him, or it could be, them being like young adults, or even adults being superheroes. It would need to really like establish some of like outside of Japan, because one of the weaker things I think about My Hero is that they don't really do much like involvement outside of Japan. So like you have all these other heroes and villains all throughout the world, but for some reason, none of them are getting touched on outside of it. You have like a little bit, like in the first movie, they go to like some little island off of like the coast. I think it was like near Florida or something. But when you have like a set world that takes place in the normal world, then
it's really weird to me to think like you have all the, it's like with Bleach, you had all this stuff going on that should be like worldwide, but it's not, and it's just like, well, what about all these other places? Like what, like in My Hero, what happens? What about all these villains outside of Japan? Are there not other big powerful characters? Maybe that's gonna be Horikoshi's plan after this whole thing when Tomura's defeated. I don't know. He could end it. I don't think he will. I think it's too popular right now for him to just want to like end it right after the defeat of Tamura. I mean, he could, but I would doubt it. Is kind of where I think he's going to try and ride this as long as possible. And if he doesn't, then he'll probably just like set up for a new series. Maybe try and get something else. I don't know all his hobbies and all the things he likes. I know he did Barrage before My Hero, but I doubt he would just try and do Barrage and get another space series. Though I would definitely read it because I really liked the premise of Barrage. I think if during the arc, I imagine that Yuno versus Zeno, Asta versus Dante, Noel versus Vanica. I thought it was actually going to be Yuno versus Dante and Asta versus Zeno, but it looks like that he's been set up to really be Yuno's like primary enemy. So I can see that now. I would have switched it just because it would have been more home in for to defeat the leader, just in the aspect of everything they did. But I can see it now where it seems more personal to Zeno being the one to end his parents. That him fighting makes a lot more sense now. So I would agree on that. Meant are not 8. I don't know what you mean. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say is the one to beat Zeno whenever he gets beat. Yeah, again, like I can see that happening, especially like we gotta figure out like what exactly is gonna, how is gonna like turn around. I'm guessing he's gonna have to learn true magic because we know he's got spirit magic. We know he's very powerful, but as of right now, we don't know if he ended up training further to have any of that, and we know that he's got like the elf power up somewhere within him. If he ever advances to have that golden wind again, we don't know, but it's all in a setup that we could easily like see spawned in the future because unlike a lot of the characters that were out training like in the Heart Kingdom, we don't know what he was doing for the 6 months. I imagine he was training and getting stronger, but what exactly? What was he really like developing? Was he getting like some like further like size of mana zone? Was he practicing control? Was he practicing just Spirit of Zephyr and its abilities? Who knows? And we're gonna have to see him kind of have to like pick himself back up after this and figure out how to become stronger for that. I read that. So I see Irene and Wendy master student relationship happening. Yeah, it's very interesting because with Wendy and Irene, because enchanting was always like always a thing that was really interesting that Wendy had, and then we finally got Irene, and she ended up having more of a connection to Wendy. It was always very. It was always one of those things. Was like, well, how is some of these things going to relate to Wendy later? But now we know that with the whole like enchanting her personality into Wendy, that she's going to be able to teach her other enchantments, and it's going to have her kind of like take up that mantle and being able to get into that high enchantress and eventually master enchantress position. And it's one of those weird things because it's obviously Irene is Urza's mother, but she's going to have more of a relationship with Wendy, which is just one of those nice twists that you wouldn't expect that going into it. You think, oh, someone said, oh, Urza's mother's going to be related into this arc. You think, oh, she's going to do something with Urza. No, she's doing stuff with Wendy instead, which is, again, a very nice twist. It breaks away from the expectation of what you think where you think this stuff would go in. How would Asta interact with Naruto? He'd get along. They'd be nice. Asta is a very kind boy. He's not rude. He's very much like fine with talking and interacting with others. I think they'd get along. They'd hang out. They'd probably train together. Even in like the parts where Naruto, like even early Naruto, where he was very loud. He was always trying to prove himself to people. Asta would be okay with that. He would be really impressed by like shadow clones and whatnot. He'd probably think the Rasengan is really cool. He'd be really friendly. You need to level up. Zeno wrecked him in the whole Golden Dawn casually and didn't go all out. Everyone needs to level up. You ask me. I mean, it's not even like Zeno's words were like very on point. I don't know about like I get where you're coming from, but it's not like for instance, like after the 7-year time skip, the main fairy tale cast were below that of like a lot of other characters. Like Max was able to beat Natsu outside of his lightning flame dragon mode, and that was like, oh, you guys need to really like step up your game because in the 7 years, like a lot of people have gotten stronger. With Zeno, like it was just as he said, it's not Yuno is weak. It's that Zeno is very powerful. He's one of the Dark Triad, and has up to 80% of a devil's power. So it's not like he's just some pushover that it's like, dude, you need to level up to compete. Like somebody like that is going to be way further down the line when they eventually get to that level. And that's one of the reasons why I think the Spade War will take a longer period of time. And I personally think that Laura won't make it out of this arc. I think she's going to end up dying. So, at that point, like, if it's going to be another 6 months, if it's going to be extended past that, maybe they get to that 6 months, they fail, and then, maybe get, like, another short time skip period. But it's, like, the Dark Triad, they're very strong, and to overcome them is going to be intense and immense. And after that point, though, we don't know what is beyond. The only thing that we can really know about, like, after the Spade War is moving beyond the Spade Kingdom entirely. And what is beyond the Spade Kingdom but the rest of the world? Because if you look at the map for, like, in Black Clover, it's really just, like, it's really this small kind of branched out piece of land attached to a different continent that's the Spade Kingdom, like, is right in the way of the connecting point. And after the Spade War, I'm guessing that we're going to start seeing more of the world itself within Black Clover. Only person probably can't beat a Dark Triad member. That's why, except Mars, Asta will fight Zeno. Being a group fight is definitely one of those things I can see as well. Black Clover very much emphasizes like more of like boss battles and teamwork rather than just 1v1s, which was really cool for Asta when he fought those Spade guys at the start of the time skip, just because he doesn't have a lot of 1v1s in the series. Most of them are, like I said, group fights and big teamwork battles. I want to see. That's one of the reasons I really want like some Dark Disciples of value, is because right now, like, the only way I can see them defeating the Dark Triad members is they have like groups against each one of them. Whereas like I still want to see like what Austin crew are capable of 1v1, but to do that we're gonna need like Dark Disciples of value, because they're not gonna be 1v1ing the Dark Triad. They're going to need the 1v1 characters much lower than them, that once they defeat them, they'll gain experience and become stronger and whatnot. True. Wind, Spirit Creation Magic, Spirit God of Zephyr and Enel. Enel is God of Storm. Zephyr is the god and the wind, of wind, Greek mythology, dual-wielding swords. I want him to get back to using bows, because I think that looks cooler using his ranged attacks. Because it also adds the kind of like mirror duality between him and Asta being more of like, the direct head-on melee combatant kind of character, and, being more of ranged. It also, would help for like fuel my whole theory that Spirit of Zephyr isn't really a sword, it's actually an arrow that he can use as a sword, something similar to Celie Schneider from Bleach that Uyushida uses. The Quincy weapon. Rex, do you think Julius or whoever, the new Wizard King, are going to replace the GD? Wait, what? Rex, do you think that Julius or the new Wizard King are going to replace... What do you mean GD? Golden Dawn. That's a good question. Well, they're going to have someone step up, but the question is like who's even going to be strong enough to do that? I don't really know if they're going to have that spot. I mean, because when it came to something like the Purple Orcas, they had to have somebody step up and take the spot, or the Crimson Lions, because the Night Brigades were still present. Their whole squad was still there, but they lost their captain for specific reasons. Whereas now the Golden Dawn is just null and void, so it's like they're kind of just down a crew, and I don't really know if they're gonna be like, we just need to have a specific number of night squads, so we're gonna appoint somebody as captain and step up. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe we can see one of the characters become a captain, maybe someone old, like of a different one. Maybe we have who would be like near captain level that could really step up. I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head. I mean, I can see against characters like Austin, but I mean, Yuno's not stepping up anytime soon. But I don't know. Who do you think would be the best spot for that? Who do you think would be the best one that would actually be? Doesn't have to be like equal to all these other captains, but for somebody to really kind of like, oh yeah, I can see them being a new kind of new gen captain. I don't know, like, wonder who it could be. I actually would like the idea of someone like Vanessa, just because Vanessa's a really good magic without it having to be like super powerful. It's the fact that hers is just very intricate, and like the way that she would be able to kind of be like this heavy support captain, because we don't have any support captains. That would actually be really neat. And like, imagine if she had like, oh, you have this super offensive Night Order, but it's like, what about the captain? The captain is just a mega support character. Something like that would actually be really cool. I think can possibly get a 5 with Grimoire to boost his skill like Patri. I don't see him getting that so soon. There's the possibility of it being present, but it'd be very weird for Tabata to do that so quickly, and especially since he's done a really like heavy and consistent job throughout Black Clover to have Asta and be kind of mirrored to each other in a lot of their skills and abilities. And if he just got right to a 5-leaf Clover Grimoire already, it would feel really weird with it not having something like happen to Asta's Grimoire in the process. Like Asta like becomes like, I don't know, a white clover or something, evolves to a 6th leaf or something way later on. And especially like it has to be like a much bigger like part of like what's happening in order for it to happen, because that's like a massive event, and it'd be really weird if it just happened very nonchalantly like at the end of a chapter. One of the Dark Triad are after Arcade Mages. I wonder if they'll eventually target the Witch Queen. Yeah, oh yeah, I think that the Witch Queen is next. The Witch Queen, I think they're gonna have to, and it's gonna be like how they get the Witch Queen on their side, because they already got the Heart Kingdom, and the fact that you didn't see Mars and then that one last member of the Shining Generals, you didn't see either of them in the whole decimation of the Diamond Kingdom. So I'm guessing they're still up and about. And there's a little bit of the Diamond Kingdom left that hasn't been conquered. So I would imagine, and they're part of the reason that is. And you have that, you have the Witch Queen, and all these characters that I think are going to have to really team up to go against the Spade Kingdom. And at the same time, when you have them all teaming up, and eventually when they defeat the Spade Kingdom, and you have like take control of the Spade Kingdom, then you can have like the unification of the entire continent. Because you'd have someone in the Heart Kingdom, you have someone in the Diamond Kingdom, you'd have someone in the Clover and Spade, and you have the witches now on your side. So it's a really nice setup for what could really unite the entire continent, which would then really like lead out to exploring the rest of the world. Again, which would be really cool, because then you can still introduce like lots of other powerful characters in the world, because as far as we know, they have only really got the knowledge of what happens outside of or somewhere on this continent, and stuff like the Clover and the Heart, the Spade, the Diamond. You can have all these other super powerful beings throughout the world, because like there could be devils that accomplish their goal in getting a body that just they're somewhere out we haven't seen yet. You can have other like legendary level characters existing. It's just like, oh well, we it's like, how do we not know these characters existed? It's like, well, we haven't gotten that far in like the exploration of the world. Like they didn't even know. We don't even know anything about like where Yami's from. We just know the land of the sun, but we don't know anything about like their style of powers. We only know about ki and stuff. So it's definitely something that Tabata has alluded to, like hinted at. We just haven't gotten around to it. We won't get to it for a while, because of the more focus on the Spade War and everything kind of really getting to a much more serious kind of situation. After the Spade Kingdom, we don't have to go to different places. We can stay in the Clover Kingdom. Tabata is already setting up the anti-monarchist. I mean, we have Damnatio, but Damnatio is... I don't think Damnatio could hold an arc on his own. I mean, really, who would be the rest of his people? He's got like a pretty good power, but his magic really only affects mages. Asta like directly counters the hell out of him to a horrendous degree, and really like at that point, what's he really gonna hold? And we already have like a lot of the captains on like the side of that would be with like Asta and co. So I don't really see where Damnatio can really hold, because like the difference between him and Asta is, though Asta could easily beat him in a fight, unless we found out like he had some ability to like affect Asta's strength or stamina or whatnot, and then his whole threatening presence isn't, oh, I'm a really powerful mage. It's, I have very very strong like political influence. I have a lot of ties. My influence goes pretty far, and more of like a smaller thing, like, oh, spreading the word, that Asta is some dangerous possessed demon boy. But when it comes down to it, all it would really need to do is just demonstrate, like, oh yeah, he's not like that and all these things. And if it came down to an actual battle, like, I don't see Damnatio really doing anything. It's more of his political influence that I think he's more dangerous of. And after that point, like, it would be kind of weird to see that whole go on at the same, like, after the Spade War, because, like, exploring outside of the continent is really, like, the logical next step, not stepping back. I think it'll be more likely that within the whole Spade War saga is that one of the pieces in it will involve Damnatio, because, like I said, I think it's going to be more like this resurrection arc, because the elves, the whole thing about them is all the smaller arcs led up to it. So I think it's going to be like that with this as well. You're going to have a lot of smaller arcs that lead up to the final arc with the Spade War, and then we'll have one big arc of, like, the final assault on, like, the Spade Kingdom and whatnot to really overtake it. They catch up with Kimetsu no Yaiba. Nezuko is so sweet. Genya is best boy, and Himajina needs a hug. Nezuko is a nice character. People just overhyped her in a lot of Kimetsu no Yaiba. Still good stuff. Do I think Klaus died? I'm hoping not. It's very likely that he did. I am hoping not. The Spirit of Zephyr does fire a tornado from the tip. That's something. I mean, that's more of like an enhanced thrust. I want to see it more of like an arrow, where he pulls that bow back and then launches this like vibrating wind blade as his opponent. And then one of the things that would be really cool he does too is, like, maybe while it shoots, it speeds up and becomes more powerful, because it'd be like, oh, it's absorbing mana in the air as it's going. And then you could probably actually, like, use Mana Zone to, like, shoot it and then have it, like, dissipate and then reform at any position around your opponent, which would be really cool. Think about that. That'd be really sick. Came from taking more anti-magic in his stance, acting in his form, then he condensed it into a shape. Let me read that again. I like how Asta's Black Divider came from him taking in more anti-magic in his stance, acting in the form. Oh, yeah. He's funneling it through his body, as we see in, like, the description, is the anti-magic comes from the Grimoire and the swords, and he's kind of just, like, channeling it, so instead of it just circling around the swords, that it goes into his body, and then ends up using that key control to pretty much have it take form. Maybe one of the Third Eye Riot could do it. Maybe Riot could Riot could probably teach. Maybe that's the next step for him, is learning from these elves. You have all these elves that have knowledge of magic and all these skills. It would actually make a lot of sense at that point, because then you have Asta training, like, with the Heart Kingdom, and, like, picking up and getting him to a better spot after this point from the elves would actually be a really good idea. That's a good little theory you got there. Wonder if the witch who cursed Charlotte will appear soon. If Charlotte will face her, Yami joining the fight. Maybe she's actually in the Spade Kingdom. Maybe she's somewhere over there, because it's a character that we saw prior, like a little hint at earlier in the series. I have to go back and I can't remember which chapter. I think it was around that piece right up there before the star awarding ceremony with Charlotte, and then we got the more note when she went into more description of her curse. But yeah, that's a good point. Like, that could be a character outside the Dark Triad that is just a formidable opponent to eventually face before, like, the end battles of the Spade War. You guys think? What do you think of the Bleach 20th anniversary news? I'm excited. I've been waiting for it. I want to get more Bleach, and I was really hoping. I've been really hoping that, similar to, like, a lot of these other mangaka, when you got, like, Toriyama, you got Kishimoto, you got Mishima and whatnot. You got these guys who, they, instead of just like, they're drawing it themselves. I mean, in Mishima's case, it's because he's doing Eden Zero, but he also wants to continue Fairy Tail, so, he got a way to draw it instead. But you have these guys who otherwise, like Toriyama's pretty old, Kishimoto was just kind of, like, a little bit tired. To have these guys, you do the story and the writing and the character designs, but the guys who actually do, like, the finalized artwork can be somebody that's new that you can train, while at the same time of being able to keep yourself pretty relaxed and less stressed. It's just like, to me, it's a very very good idea. And we know that Kubo talked about how much, like, he even though he was retired, in a sense, at that time retired from manga after the end of Bleach, but he said he got really depressed because, like, you have, like, this set thing you do all the time, constantly thinking of characters and plot lines and powers and whatnot, that it was weird not doing it. He really missed it. So I'm hoping that if he's like reveals that Bleach is coming back, either with a continuation or a spinoff or something, that he ends up taking a part in it, but he has somebody else that he like, similar to that of like in these other manga, he has somebody else draw it that he's like training at the same time. Which again, because then you also have these guys who have this really big title attached to their name, and eventually when they finish it, oh cool, now you have a pretty good following that you can do your own series, and you just got coaching from this extremely successful mangaka that you can add to your own experience. I think Tabata can tackle the royal system messed up, and remember at the end of the Elf arc when there was anti-monarchists trying to fight the king. Yeah, all those dudes in the Damnatio showed up. I don't know. I don't really see that being like as prevalent of a story piece right now with all the stuff going on with the Spade and them kind of moving out, them collecting all these arcane stage mages. To me, it's one of those things that it would feel like a weird shift. It'd feel like something maybe you could do that with like an anime only arc or something that kind of exists in the whole arc, kind of like what's his name, Danzo from Naruto. How much that kind of like smaller story arc kind of came out of left field to be a surprise piece, something like that where it was more of something you weren't expecting that throws a wrench of chaos in the whole mix. I'd say Charlotte being able to sense demon activity like Lauro, maybe something that she trained over a time skip. I mean, maybe. I mean, as for her, it'd be her curse is definitely not nearly as severe as Lauro's. Lauro's is going to kill her at some point, whereas Charlotte's is just tedious, and though she can use it to her own standard. Klaus dying would really show how much of a threat they are. No, I mean, it wouldn't show them as a threat, because like beating Klaus isn't like a big thing. I don't want Klaus to die, because I really like the idea of him eventually becoming like Yuno's vice captain when Yuno becomes captain, because he was the first character we saw that really kind of like looked down on Asta and Yuno for being peasant born, but then ended up getting fixed into really like accepting them for who they are and what they're capable of instead of just being where they're born at, which again I really like. And I can see like that journey for him being more towards a position like vice captain that would really feel a little bit special about him. And then again, Zeno did beat the diamond and take out the golden dot. I mean, yeah, he's dude's a big threat. I can see Damnatio playing a big role in the overall Spade arc during the trial. Asta must have realized as long as Damnatio and the Cure family are in charge, you can't end discrimination. I mean, Damnatio for sure. I wouldn't say Augustus. And Augustus, like I said, he's a jerk. He kind of just seems like a douche, but he's not evil. If you go back and look at the whole battle during the Royal Magic Knights exam, you have like the part where Langris was gonna finish off Finral, and Augustus was like he was not okay with that. Like he was trying to he was freaking out. He was trying to start just gather himself. Like what is happening? Somebody stop that guy. He didn't want that to happen. And like I said, he's not a nice dude. I mean, he's absolutely not a nice guy, but he's not evil. He's more of just a sitcom bully than anything. Obviously not entirely like he did, like he was gonna, hey, execute these guys for disrespecting me, but he's not inherently I would say inherently malefic, rather. He's not a absolute bad guy. I don't know. It's a little bit hard to kind of go at. It might have just been an anime only scene that I'm thinking of, but at the same time still, he's not somebody that is much of a problem in all this, because we know he doesn't do a lot. He doesn't have a lot of influence in the story, because at the end of the day all he really does is just kind of be relaxed and get the easy life. So it's Damnatio, I'd say, that is the real problem, because Damnatio's discrimination is more of just what he thinks is the case, and he seems very hard to alter his mind decision, because we know that he is absolutely not somebody that cares more about position. He cares more about justice, because we know that he judged his own father at one point. So I think it's more for him of just you're not going to get something that's fair when you have a character like that who he just makes an assumption. He kind of just gets his own decision on things, and then he doesn't seem really willing to budge from it. How far can Black Divider go in terms of height? I mean, right now the size should be its range is at least like the length of that big like walking mech thing, which is probably just looking at it, not even really like scaling it. It's probably like 100. I would just guess like 100 meters, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was more because even though Asta, was able to, slash right through it, slash it completely, we didn't see him go all out because he seemed relatively fine after that. He wasn't like all sweaty, he wasn't tired, he wasn't like, painting. It was just like, oh cool, sweet, yeah, I did it. It won't surprise me if, he can like double to triple that in length. I can't wait for him to be when he gets to like big boy captain level because I just assume like when he's Wizard King that like his thing is, somebody tries to invade the Clover Kingdom and then they're like, oh cool, we're at the border. And they just see this big black line coming at them and then just look and they see this black sword just extend all the way to the clouds and then us to just lower it at them and be like, listen, I have the full range to like swing my sword at anywhere in the country. So you guys can either continue onward and see how it goes or get the hell out. That would be so neat because all of them have to have like something special, like their own big reason to be Wizard King. And you have crazy OP Time Mage, and I'm guessing it's going to be Fuego Leon. It's not confirmed, but I'm guessing, one-armed Salamander Fire Mega Mage is going to be the next one, and then eventually Asta, which is super powerful anti-magic gigantic swords. I need it. I need that to be the case. We'll see, though. Damnatio being a power-hungry, justice-obsessed man he is. I can see him being delved into the demon magic to uphold his position. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up kind of like selling his own like body and whatnot in order to keep pushing his own sense of justice. Probably be what's that guy's name from Berserk? Who was the religious guy? Because he was kind of like that as well, but his was more on like this holy mission. Oh my god, it starts with a G. It's like Grut. Oh my god, I have to look it up. But you know who I mean if you've read Berserk. You know what I'm talking about. The religious dude, the big square-headed dude. I think Asta might have stood a chance against Xeno, or it would have been the same result, 100%. I think he would have got wrecked either way. No, Asta would have gotten clapped. Yeah, Asta would have lost. There's no way he was going to beat Xeno after, like, he beat William without even taking his hands out of his pockets. What am I hoping to see in the anime returns? His own vision of the final war without it being rushed. I mean, yeah, the 1,000-Year Blood War would be really cool to see it animated, and then anything like that Kubo could adjust with, more time to do it would be really cool. Maybe, alter some stuff, maybe extend out some of the fights, maybe give some characters more love that, he liked in the first, he liked more that didn't get it. I think he'd do better than but still might lose. I mean, I think he would do a little bit better, but I still think he would lose 100%. I don't think it would be like a close match. I think it would just be once you got to that 55% Xeno, I think it would have been over. I think the most that would have happened is you would have had Xeno like take note of, oh, he's got a demon power. Oh, this. Oh, actually no, because if he saw Asta's anti-magic, he probably would have taken him with him back to the spade. So that's a good thing that he didn't see Asta. The taste is the taste of a liar. Ruby Rose. Ruby is a problem. How he would have gotten captured. Yep, see? That's what I was saying. He would have taken him. He would have captured him right away. The Ruby season finale was so hype. It was. I liked it overall. I liked that like none of the main cast was involved in a lot of like the end stuff for the volume. Volume 7, really, I've enjoyed a majority of it not taking into account like any of the main cast. I don't really like any of the main cast. This volume, I like some of Weiss. But, like, my favorite stuff in Volume 7 were from Ironwood, Penny, Winter. I didn't really care too much about, like, anything that went on between the Team Ruby cast, outside of some of Weiss's more, her more, homegrown personal issues. I don't even think she had, like, any good fight scenes. I'm caught up to Record of Ragnarok recently. Oh, yeah, Record of Ragnarok is fantastic. Do you think the Heart Kingdom is actually evil? I don't think they're evil. I mean, why would they be evil? That would be a really weird decision. Like if they just suddenly decided to turn evil. I mean, they've been neutral for so long. They only decided to switch side or to gain the alignment with the Clover Kingdom because Laura had a set time to live left. Who do you think the Element 4 is the strongest guy? I think Sulfur Earth guy. Daichi. Daichi wouldn't surprise me if he was the strongest, but I don't know. I have. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Daichi. I think that since he was the one that really kind of stayed back with, he was the one to stay back with Rebecca. That it wouldn't surprise me he was the strongest, and it'd be a nice flip because I think Soul was the weakest out of the Element Four and Fairy Tail. So reversing it, making him the strongest out of them. Plus, he was the one in the back and in the middle, which is usually at least a good a good kind of just like estimation of what was he in the middle. Well, then you got a good chance of that being the strongest guy. Salamander, yeah. Oh man, yeah. What's up, Telehim? How's it going, man? Lobelia didn't deserve the torture, even though she. I mean, yeah, she bullied her, but she didn't deserve torture. I mean, she had like sitcom bully levels of like stuff to Rebecca. She pulled little pranks. She didn't like go around like having her get beaten up or trade her off to get like taken away to Aliga. No, she deserved to get pranked in return. She deserved like just some general like old style public humiliation. So maybe someone spills some soup on her or something. Maybe you have some like lewd stuff where she gets pantsed or something. Anything along those lines where it's embarrassing and humiliating for her, but it's not torture. I mean, she was like horribly tortured and just beaten and blindfolded and caged up. But as it were, I don't agree with anybody that would say like she got what she deserved. Like that's not in any way like you go from, well, this is my response to that person being mean, torture. No, you play pranks on a back, man. I wonder whether or not Amir posed as Lobelia, as we still haven't seen her eyes. There's no way that it's the fake one, because she would have just transformed and got her way out. And it's going to take one more time powers up to us to beat Dark Triad. Yep, exactly. Do you think that Asta's demon will enhance when fighting the Dark Triad, like the word Magic Devil? Wait, what do you think Asta's doing will enhance when... I mean, yeah, he's going to have to... I think he's going to have some point of taking over Asta's body, but temporarily. Before that, just to have a display of what he's really in. And I'm hoping that he's more of like nice to Asta than it's really just people assume that he's evil, but he's actually just like a nice guy that looks scary. I don't think Amira did that. I do think she is on his ship. Yeah, I mean I don't know. She said she's gonna trying to play influence on there, but she might take take a role on somebody. Maybe we'll see like Maria like pop back up, but it's not the real one or something. I don't think it's Lobelia. I mean, that would just kind of like that would make Amira's character like so much like less like impressive. It's like, oh yeah, I transformed and they got captured and tortured. It's like I thought you're supposed to be a spy. Anyone else get the feeling that Fuego Leon is going to die in this? Oh, I don't think he's going to die. Absolutely not. I don't think he's going to die. I think he's going to be holding the spot. Because then if he dies, who's gonna be in charge of the Clover Kingdom? I mean, I could see him dying in the future, but I don't think he's gonna die in the Spade War. Absolutely not. I can see some characters dying, but I mean, we already saw some die, but some of the bigger ones die. I don't think it'll be Fuego Leon. I don't think him or Nozel are gonna die anytime soon. Apparently they're meant to be a flashback to the 1,000-Year Blood War. Aizen was meant to have a pivotal plot point. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some rushing stuff going on. And we already know that Kubo had some shoulder issues. He had some problems that made it hard for him to continue his job. But I don't think that was an excuse. I don't think he just said that to do it, because he's had that problem before, and he could have ended the series much earlier. But he really wanted to he wanted it to see it out to the end, and even if the end felt a little bit rushed, he still like wanted us to get the best that he could present with while still not destroying himself. Like I said, if he gets somebody that he can trust to do his art close enough to his style, and he just does the writing and some of the designs, I think that'd be perfect, and it would be really really helpful for him and his health and whatnot. What characters you see being the final lineup against Megicula? I want to see like everybody against him. I want to see another big like demon battle, but I would be okay with it just being Asta and maybe just oh sorry, I had something caught in my throat. Maybe Noelle in there and just have it be the main cast. But Asta and would be a really cool pair up. That'd be really hard for them to somehow like equal up to a whole devil, just the two of them. Maybe we could have maybe some of like, and maybe throw Mars in there, maybe throw Loro in there, maybe throw like the Witch Queen. It's gonna be a while, so there should be like ample time to get more powerful, ample time to kind of like advance themselves. And I'm guessing if it's gonna be anywhere like close to the length, if not longer than the Spade or the Up Resurrection arc, by the end of this, it'll be in the 400 plus chapter range, so somewhere like 430, 440, and then maybe we get to outside continents, and then we get to outside dimensions when we start seeing like where the devils are from and stuff. I think Noah will get the water spirit if Laura dies. Yes, she's the best option for it. Do you think these how strong do you think these dragons compare to Acnologia? Which dragons? Do you mean like the dragon gods, or do you mean like the dragon eaters? If it's the dragon gods, they all should, like I said, they should be similar to Acnologia in strength. Not Ravines of Time eating Acnologia, but normal version. But I think he can still beat any of them 1v1. Which I still theorize that why he was like wandering around at the end of Dragon Rise, he was looking for them still. Rex, do you think these captain? Do you think the captain reactions will be to what happened to the Golden Dawn? Oh man, they're going to be devastated. There's going to be panic because this is these guys literally just stepped up in the middle of their territory, decimated one of their knight captain or their magic knight orders, and then left. Like it took one of their captains. This is a big thing. This is going to be a really big event. Is Sun Wukong a shonen protagonist? Its character is based off Goku. Yeah, I know. Oh, Sun Wukong was Journey to the West. Oh, for sure. Laura dies. Let me scroll up and see where that got pushed back. I definitely see Undine choosing Noelle. 100%. Noelle's the most likely chance. Plus, Noelle needs spirit magic at some point, and you give her a spirit dive. Be sick. Aizen versus Anti-Magic Devil. Would his illusions work on him? Because he doesn't really have, like, the same... I don't think so, because Aizen's stuff, like, goes in your body and then affects, like, all your senses, but the Anti-Magic Devil is, like, made up of magic, and then he just has his double heart. I don't think it would affect him by the way that it works, personally, because if it doesn't... It has to have that little aspects to go in, like, your brain and stuff, but he doesn't have a physical brain. He's got a physical heart, but it's made of magic. He is a magic being. But it looked like his heart was, still physical. But even if you included that, it's not like Aizen's ability doesn't affect the heart. It goes into your brain and stuff. Let's see. I want Asta and Noelle. There's going to have to be more than that. I think it'll be, like, way more characters. Maybe we get members from the Spade Kingdom that will be on their side. Maybe we find some members of the Spade that don't want this war and end up teaming up, which would be really cool, because then we can get some insight on what, living in the Spade Kingdom is like. Maybe one of the Dark Disciples switches. We get one kind of like... I just imagine, like, the one that I always think of, the character, I always think of, when I think of, like, a powerful Dark Disciple. You get someone like Grimmjow, but, switched over. I don't know. I always just think of Grimmjow when I think of, like, let's get some Dark Disciples of relevance. Do you think the news about the new live-action One Piece? Oh, that's going to be a train wreck. That's not going to go well. I don't think that's going to go well at all. I could be wrong, but it won't surprise me if they lose a lot of money doing this. It's going to look silly. The thing about, like, anime live adaptations, if you're going to do one, you have to do one that won't look silly in real life, like, transition. You could do something like Code Geass. You could do something like Berserk. You can do probably most Gundams. There's a lot of stuff you could do. You cannot do that with, like, a lot of big shonen, something like One Piece. It's gonna look really silly. Let's see. I already read that one. I think we defeat Magicula's arc. Maybe just stop its influence and drive him out of the Spade. Main villains are gonna be the Triad. I don't. It'll be a lot longer. Like I said, I think it's gonna be 200 plus chapters for the total of the Spade War. And Magicula, I think Magicula's gonna be the largest threat character in the end one. Maybe we even get, like, I don't know. I don't want to say Xeno switching sides. I'm just trying to think of, like, there's got to be somebody in the Spade that they can kind of gain alliance with. Like, I think a Dark Disciple would be the best option of just getting somebody from them on their side.
Yeah, I can see the final battle being Asta. Oh, it's gotta be way more than Asta and Noel, and they're gonna have to like increase all up to like Wizard King level to actually be able to contend with the devil, like just with three of them. Do you think? Do you think at least half of the Clover Kingdom will be taken over by the Spank Kingdom? I think. Yeah, I think they're gonna get invaded. I can see them getting some of their land pushed, and they're gonna have to really just unite all of the other big characters, like I said, like members of the Diamond Kingdom, like the Witch Queen, in order to start taking back spots. Live action adaptations are still garbage. I mean, yeah, they're mostly really bad. Some were actually pretty good. Something like what is it? Oh my god, was it Preach or Priest? Edge of Tomorrow, is that the one with Tom Cruise? Speed Racer is actually surprisingly a pretty fun movie. The only part of that I didn't like was the stupid kid and the monkey. Was it Sprocket and Chim Chim or whatever? The rest of the movie I thought was pretty entertaining. Let's see. There will probably be a rebel alliance and Spades to loyal to Yuna's parents. Yeah, again that would make sense. I'd be perfectly okay with that. And maybe they just have some members training and getting ready. You got some guys that don't like the ruling style of the Dark Triad. The Spade arc is going to be ridiculous. Lots of emotional moments and deaths coming. Yeah, I don't. I'm very curious to see what the plans are from Tabata, because there's going to be characters dying more in this arc, and the gap between like, for instance, the last arc and this arc is the last arc wasn't about like the severity of like, oh, characters dying and you have all this big bloodbath. It was more about the mystery of what happened, who was really at fault between the humans and the elves. Whereas this is a war, this is way more serious. Things are going to get way more aggressive, so it makes sense of why this is already starting out way more violent and way more aggressive than any other arc in the series. Oh man, I made the mistake of watching Full Metal Alchemist live act. Oh, that's unfortunate, man. I've watched the last live action one I can think of is the Death Note live action, which it's not horrible. The Light's character is like, he doesn't live up to the actual Light Yagami, but he's like eh, I didn't hate him. I didn't like what they did with L. I did really like what they did with Ryuk. I do like that. I liked William Dafoe as Ryuk. I won't deny that. I won't deny that at all. If you've never watched the Death Note live action, just watch scenes from YouTube of Ryuk. That is the part of the movie that made me like go, I actually enjoyed that aspect of it. I could rewatch the movie again just to see Ryuk existent in it. He was all around just a delight to see operate. William Dafoe's voice acting was fantastic. Also, just as a side note, I actually liked what they did in the live action with if you don't specify, it's like Ryuk's choice to go, like how they're gonna die instead of a heart attack, because it got all Final Destination. I thought that was just neat. I thought that was a really cool way to open more for being, this is, even though it's based off of something, it's different. Personally, I just like that whole bit. But Ryuk in general in the live action movie, I thought was great. Wonder what Megiku's magic is. I wonder if he's stronger than the Word Devil. I'm guessing he's stronger than the Word Devil. But I'm hoping that all of the devil magics are more of just really tricky. Like I don't want maybe he could have something like gravity magic, because we haven't seen gravity yet, and there's gonna be a gravity mage at some point. We haven't seen like something like kind of getting into the crazy things. Maybe like Megicula's will be more of like a tactical style, like a because if you've never read Tabata's previous series, Hungry Joker, like there was a character who his power was mutation, so he could like freely shift his body at will, and he can like give himself claws, wings. He can do lots of very just straight any way manipulate his like the way that his body is set up at will. And maybe, oh sorry, hiccup right there. Maybe you can have that with Megicula, and Megicula will just be able to mutate people, and it's more of Megicula having all these different types of soldiers set up, more and less of a fighter and more like a tactician, which would be really really cool to have, and just make them different from the Word Devil. And it's just a little theory, or you could have something like gravity magic and have fucking black holes or something ridiculous. Yeah, Megicula's full design. Megicula, I really like that there's like this note now with Xeno that there's hype potential of there being other devils, whether or not that's just kind of like the representation of like them with the devil powers, or if that is a separate devil besides Megicula, or however it's gonna work. Very, very interesting to see how that is. I want to see more of the information behind it, because we didn't, like, when we saw the devil behind Xeno, there was no note of what exactly it did, whereas it could have been something crazy. I actually really like that. Just thinking about it, is some form of spatial lock, like it just like sets a zone, makes like an invisible barrier. Because that's like a simple one that goes perfect with Xeno's bone magic and how much it just spreads and how overwhelming it is. Megicula boy or girl. I was like many who thought Megicula was female, but I think it was stated that Megicula is a guy. I mean, they're devils. They don't seem to have like a full physical form, so I'm guessing they're more genderless. But I mean, we already know that like referred to as a he, so I'm guessing maybe for the devils it's a dude. We'll probably see a female devil at some point. Tenka will protect them. Yes. Do you think that more of the Golden Dawn would have survived Mimosa? Oh no, Mimosa would be dead too. Mimosa would have got clapped. So will Yuno turn evil by the end of the Spade War? No, I don't think so. I don't think Yuno's gonna switch sides or turn evil or anything. I want to find out why Noelle's mom was cursed by Megicula. I mean, we'll see that soon. Once we eventually start to get like more information on him. I'm guessing that Nozel knows something, and he just, he doesn't want to say it. He doesn't want to give out that information. Wonder if the Bada based off Griffith. I mean, the darker path for him I see coming up, because just as a one thing I want to know is when you look at the way that Asta's like whole event happened, the first thing that happened after the time skip is he got to be a dominating character. He got to beat all these bad guys and be the hero, whereas got decimated, and then it took this massive defeat and had an utter like suffering that was like lined up with it. Anyway, so I'm gonna end it here. I got an appointment I got to go to in a little over an hour. I just really wanted to to talk to you guys and get as much as I can in this week's stream. Next week probably be a little bit longer. Unfortunately, it just the only option I had for this appointment, it was like late in the afternoon on a Saturday, so I was like, okay, whatever. Do I think Noelle could combat? What would you give Noelle to combat devil magic? I mean, devil magic it's kind of hard to say because we don't really know like what the lines are for devil magic. Is it all going to be some weird like reality warping thing? Is it going to be all very much like just very? Well, is it going to always vary heavily between them? Don't know. It's one thing that we can't really kind of gauge out until we see more more of devils in general. All right, peace, man. Yeah. So hope you guys all have a great weekend. Next week we'll have a little bit of a longer stream, and we'll have a little bit more to talk about after some of these brutal chapters coming up. Wait, guilty pleasure moment. Do you ever read Magic Girl Apocalypse? I haven't finished it. Don't spoil it, but I have read it. I've read most of it. I gotta finish like the last 30 chapters. But anyway, have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys next time.